I don't think our fuel is supposed to look like this. What's going on, guys? Welcome back. We're gonna pick up where we left off in the last CJ build video, which is the ultimate goal of getting this thing started and running. So we brought this Jeep home a couple of days ago, and we had to replace the fuel pump because no fuel was getting to the carburetor. In order for this thing to start and run, we thought that was all we were gonna have to do, but it's still not working. So the next step was to take a look at the carburetor, and what a surprise it was when we opened it up, and it is just gunky. It's starting to corrode. The jets are clogged. It is just a whole mess in there. So I've picked up a rebuild kit. I need to get this carburetor off and soak it in some carb fluid for a little bit. Hopefully that is all that is needed to get this thing started. So I'm gonna put the camera down and get to work. Got the top half of the carburetor taken out and cleaned it out real good, cleaned the jets, and also changed out the accelerator pump that came in the rebuild kit. Now, the bottom half of the carburetor needs a little bit more attention. It is so gross in the fuel bowl. I mean, there is just gunk all over this thing. So I need to take off this whole piece and clean it out really, really good, or else it's all just gonna make its way back into the carburetor if I don't do that. Now, I'm really hoping that this solves the starting issue on this thing. I really wanna get it started so I know if there's any other like immediate issues that need to be fixed, because I'm trying to keep this as budget friendly as possible. Right now, I'm only in this maybe a little over 50 bucks. The fuel pump was $26. The rebuild kit was about $28. And luckily, most of the parts for this thing are not that expensive, but I wanna know what I need to spend my money on immediately before I start buying, you know, more like the fun parts. So let's get the bottom half off, clean it out, throw it back on, and then try to get this thing started. There's also a little hole in the vacuum holes.
Ah, that's for the vacuum advance. That's probably why when it was running years ago, it was stumbling or it wasn't.
That could cause a problem. All right, we've got everything cleaned out pretty good. As you can tell, this is the gunk and everything that we were able to kind of clean out of it. Let's get it put back together. The carburetor is back on. There are no extra parts or bolts or anything, so I think we did it right.
We are going to find out.
I am not a CJ carburetor expert, so we're gonna try starting it and see what happens.
That was a little bit of starting fluid. Keep cranking.
All right, so it looks like we have a small fuel leak on this line right here. Ben's gonna crank it. A little bit, yeah, but it's hard to catch on the GoPro. But you can see how much has leaked, like on top of the diff and on the floor. So we are going to get that changed out because it's possible it's not getting enough fuel to the carburetor.
Air
yeah.
To there, you know?
So we're gonna get that changed out and try again. I mean, you can see all the cracks in the hose line, and I was like, man, we should just replace the hose. And I was like, nope, I'm not gonna go there. It's still hosing.
What is this, try number 511?
So we're still having issues getting fuel all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And it looked weird because it just spit all over the hood.
And it looked very watery.
It looks like, yeah, it doesn't look thick enough to be fuel. So we're just gonna get a little sample here in the jar. I mean, unless that is what fuel looks like once it's been sent through the pump.
Super aerated, but let's let it settle. Oh, I mean, there's a lot of crap in there.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's separating.
Yeah. So.
That definitely means there might be water in there.
We might have to drop the tank.
We're gonna have to drop the fuel tank.
I think that's like.
Check it.
90% water.
So we put the carburetor back on, tried to start it, it didn't work. So then we were like, man, are we still having issues with fuel, getting fuel to it? Because it didn't even look like we couldn't get it to run without spraying this stuff in. So then we went back to the source, and there was a small leak in the fuel line, so we replaced that. And then we were like, well, crap, is the filter already clogged? So we took that off, and it looked a little dirty. So we were like, okay, well, let's just make sure that there is still fuel getting to the filter. We did that. It sprayed all over the hood. Looked a little funny, and so that's when we decided to take a sample.
Look, you can actually see it now.
And
that's 90% water.
Yeah.
So water's heavier than gasoline.
So that's we're gonna have to drop
water
the
settles
tank.
on the bottom.
With our new discovery of a boat ton of water in the fuel tank, I bet that probably has a lot to do with why we can't get it started and running. So we pretty much
That's a contributing factor. That is probably some of the most water I've ever seen, like in gas. It's like 90% water.
We don't really know how it got in there. We've looked all around.
There's no holes in the floorboard. So I mean, there has to be some kind of way. Either it was in there for a very long period
time.
and it finally just settled, we're low on gas, or somehow got there when sitting there at Mike's. I have no idea.
I don't really know.
That is a ton
Tons of water. So we have two options. We can either drop the fuel tank and clean it out real good, but we phoned a friend and we don't think that's the best idea because we're not prepared for that. That's a whole project in itself, and we don't have any of the parts or anything. If anything goes wrong, we have nothing.
With our luck, you know, we drop the tank, something would break,
Yes.
and then it's sitting in here for a week while we wait on parts.
So instead, we're gonna go with option number 2, which is to just pump everything out of the bottom of the fuel tank.
Hopefully.
So we've got a fuel pump here. We're just gonna stick a line in there. Well, you don't have it, but we're gonna stick a line in there and just pump out everything that's at the bottom. Since water sinks below fueler because it's denser, so we'll just keep pumping it out until it starts maybe possibly looking like fuel.
I think it's time to make a bet. How many gallons of water do you think's in here?
Okay, so we put 3 gallons of fuel in it yesterday, and with that mixture, water sinks, so I don't know. I mean, it could just be like the bottom quarter to a half inch.
I'm saying there's 3 gallons of water.
Well, we have a 5-gallon bucket here. Let's get this hooked up and just see how much water was in this tank.
Now, if it's going to the bottom of the tank, who knows? It should. It's a pretty heavy hose.
Well, for sucking fuel, we know it's in the wrong spot.
All right.
Here we
Here
go.
goes nothing. Oh, that is yummy.
Disgusting.
We thought there was water in there. There's actually chocolate milk.
All right, we're about one gallon in, a little more than 1.
And it's still coming out disgusting. It's gonna be a long night. It's starting to get a little more clear.
Just wait, let's readjust the hose. We'll find another.
Find another
I'll find
gallon
some
of
more.
water in there. Sample time.
It's starting to look more like fluid. Oh, no, that's still a nice mix.
Yeah.
Look at that.
There we go. Yeah, so you can still see the water on the bottom.
We should just pump it dry. There can't be more than
It's a 15-gallon tank.
yeah, but there's not 15 gallons in it. That's only 3 buckets. We've almost got through 1.
We've almost got through 1 and it's only been 30 minutes.
No, you can record. This.
You getting hot? Cassie's over here.
Feeling
Are you getting high from the fuel fumes?
It's been a lot. It's been like 6 hours of fuel.
There's one brain cell left in there.
So last night we finished pumping the fuel tank as best as we could, threw a bottle of heat in it as well to soak up any water that might be left, and take a look at what we have in the bucket. So you can't really tell in the black one, but we have about maybe 7-ish gallons of stuff, and that top layer in the red one is obviously fuel, but you can just see the water and grime that takes up about half of this bucket. That just blows my mind, and that has to have been a reason as to why it wouldn't start to begin
sure
with.
hope so. But I mean, I think since the fuel's separated, I wonder if we could use the top half
No, will
of
you
that?
just stop with that, wanting to use the fuel? I mean, it does separate, you are right, but...
It's clean.
No.
That's like $8 right there.
Hopefully the only thing left to do now is throw on a new fuel filter and then try to start her up again. It has just been one thing after the other trying to get this thing started. And Ben has also charged the battery again, just in case. We're trying to prevent anything else from happening before we go to start it. Man, I love that thing. That is like one of my favorite shop upgrades, is the retractable.
Oh, it is nice. Instead of dealing with an extension cord every time.
I'm gonna put a link to that in the description below because everyone should have one. It's been my favorite thing. Love it. This is it. We need to get it out of the shop. So it's either gonna start and drive its own way out, or we're gonna have to pull it out or push it out.
It's idling that high though?
Yeah, so it might be the idle, but woo! She's running! None of the gauges work, so we'll have to take a look at that later, but...
Finally!
Woo! We got the idle drop down. Let's take it for a ride. Let's make sure it can shift gears and go driving around.
Shadow, leave it. How's it feel?
It goes into first and second.
Oh, that was second?
Yeah, the brakes are a little loose to use, but I don't know. We could probably replace the brakes.
See if reverse works.
I think she's just warming up. Woo! She drives, she feels good. Okay, there's a bush. I am gonna hit the barrel. We did it, goal accomplished. We got this thing started, running, driving, idling, puttering, whatever. We can now move it in and out of the shop freely, which is really exciting. Now, of course, some other problems came to light. We're probably gonna have to make some clutch adjustments. It does not like to go into reverse. It was a little hard to get into some of the gears at certain times. The brakes are iffy. They work, but we'll have to take a closer look at that, and none of the gauges work. So plenty of projects left to be done. Now, how all of that water got into the fuel tank, I have no idea, because I mean, I could theorize about it all day long, but it's definitely a concern because it was running and driving a year ago and it didn't seem like there was anything wrong with the fuel system. So we're gonna have to take a closer look at that as well. But we can now move it in and out of the shop freely, which means the LJ is ready to go into the shop because some parts just arrived and I have some projects I need to knock out on it. As always, guys, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. My name's Cassie. Keep Jeeping classy.